It's been a bit since I talked about Ghoul's counterplay, and a few changes have been made, as well as different counters being found and made through new changes, and I want to talk about those and kind of rehash my previous counterplay. Shorten it a bit, but keep it concise with information that clears out misinformation. Hi Kosu, I'm Psykosu. If you don't know already, I'm a Ghoul main. No, that doesn't give you permission to go to the comments and claim that because I'm a Ghoul main, I have no way of telling you how to counter Ghoul because I'm totally one-sided and clearly have never played anything but Ghoul. I play Survivor too. I've played against Ghoul. In a lot of cases, I've been the only one in my team to actually have a decent chase, whereas my teammates unfortunately go down in 10 seconds. I can't blame them because they simply aren't paying attention or they're worrying about the wrong things. For context, I started playing the game back in 2020 around when Silent Hill had released, and from the beginning I wanted Tokyo Ghoul in the game, as it was a series I'd grown very fond of since before the third season even released. These days I'm running at around 8,000 hours, with over 400 of those being on Kaneki himself, with nearly 3,000 matches played on him, and I average at around a 76% kill rate on him. While I don't deny that I do perform very well in the killer, I'd hope I do given my playtime and dedication, I do also notice a lot of my kills were really avoidable. That's what this video is going to be for, and any other updates I make later on. And with my higher playtime on the killer, I have learned a lot about what he can and can't do and what Survivor players can do to weaken him during their matches. I want to try and put an end to the bad faith arguments people tend to have in the community, especially towards Ghoul, so please listen to the video in full before commenting. And if you want, I stream every other day on Twitch and would love to have a genuine conversation and debate about Kaneki and his counterplay, and possible changes they can make to him. So after this video, you still have questions, feel free to join my Discord or catch me when I'm live. One last thing before we begin, I do also want to note, patch notes are important. There's still a few people who believe things like kidnap tech still exist when it's not really been a thing in the game for 8 months now. And also, Kaneki doesn't have auto aim anymore, technically. The stickiness of the reticle was reduced to 0.05 seconds when the all kill comeback chapter came out, and the most free hit his ability has is just the fact that it's a hit scan ability, similarly to Singularity's teleport. What I'm trying to say is just pay attention to the patch notes before you argue with other people. The wiki.gg website for Dead by Daylight keeps up to date with the changes made for an easier viewing of change history, and I tend to check on these and update them myself when certain changes are made as well. Without further ado, I want to talk about Kaneki's mechanics and how they work exactly so you know, as a Survivor player, what to look out for. Kaneki moves naturally at 4.6 meters a second. This is because, while he can injure with his ability, nothing in his kit actually results in a down without using a basic attack. Typically, 4.4 killers have the ability to down with ranged or dash abilities, with the exception of the Hag. Bless her soul. Kaneki's power, One-Eyed Terror, starts with 2 Kagane leaps. Upon holding right-click, Kaneki creates a reticle that is visible for both Survivor and Killer. Hitting a Survivor with the initiation leap will bring Kaneki to the Survivor but not injure them, and will instead stun Kaneki for 3 seconds. This will end Kaneki's leap and put him on cooldown. While aiming at a Survivor, Kaneki has 0.05 seconds of sticky aim. This is essentially nothing and doesn't actually apply anything anymore like it used to. If he leaps once and then leaps onto a Survivor, it will initiate a Kagane Bite. This is a hit scan injury ability that will put the Survivor into deep wound and give them the Kagane mark. After starting a Kagane Bite, Kaneki will be locked into an animation and be held in place for roughly 3 seconds before being able to freely move and attack again. This is about the same speed as a regular M1 as well. While a Survivor is deep wounded, the Kagane mark is persistent until the Survivor mends themselves. After mending, the Kagane mark will take around 40 to 50 seconds to be fully removed, or until another Survivor is marked. While a Survivor has the Kagane mark, Kaneki will become enraged, giving him a third leap and activating a good handful of his add-ons. If Kaneki connects with you again, despite you already having an active Kagane mark, it will turn the bite into a Kagane swipe, the same thing as before with the first leap connect. He will be stopped in place upon reaching you and won't be able to attack for 3 seconds. Kaneki's leaps move at 14 meters a second, however, Kaneki can use the slingshot mechanic to carry his momentum into his following leap, which can surpass the regular leap speed. This is an intended mechanic, it is not a bug or tech. Once Kaneki cancels his leaps manually or exhausts all 3, he cannot perform a basic attack for 2 seconds. Please note that Kaneki canceling his cooldown only applies once he's reached his reticle's location, before the cancel begins. The only time this doesn't apply is when he bumps into something on his way to his reticle. His cancel can also bleed into his slide, which would begin the 2-second downtime during his slide. While unenraged, Kaneki's leaps recharge at 4 seconds per used leap. While enraged, Kaneki's leaps recharge at 2.5 seconds per leap, and the cooldowns end up being around the same time due to him having more leaps. Kaneki cannot leap until all of his leaps are recharged. Kaneki can also leap into pallets and windows to vault them using his power. While enraged, connecting to a survivor directly from over a vault will cause him to vault the pallet at an increased speed. While he grabs a survivor without biting, should it be from over a vault or just directly as I mentioned before, that survivor will receive a 50% hinder penalty for half a second. This is mostly just the animation and doesn't really affect much in gameplay. After vaulting, he cannot attack for a second and a half. In between each leap, Kaneki has 5 seconds where he can readjust his positioning before his leaping phase automatically ends. Kaneki also has an anti-brutal strength mechanic where when he breaks a pallet, it removes one of his tokens, placing him on cooldown. This is similar to what Blight just got, but instead of taking out 3, it takes out 1. Kaneki has 20 add-ons, just like every other killer, however the most commonly used ones are going to be Yamori's Mask, Red-Headed Centipede, Fresh Coffee, and Kaneki's Satchel. Yamori's Mask causes all survivors to scream and reveal their location when Kaneki hooks a survivor while enraged. Red-Headed Centipede blocks a window that Kaneki vaults while enraged. Fresh Coffee increases leap speed by 14%, and Kaneki's Satchel increases the final leap speed by 50%. Mask and Centipede are widely considered these skill-less add-ons, not just by survivors, but a lot of Kaneki mains as well. Coffee and Satchel help a lot in making Kaneki's more skill-based playstyles more viable. The rest of Kaneki's add-ons are generally useless, but a couple have good use cases in specific builds. Before we start with this next section, on screen are all of Kaneki's more specific stats, including his maximum leap distance and other miscellaneous information that is good to have, so pause and read if you want, or we can just go on to the next section. Now that you know Kaneki's general mechanics, what do you do against them? Well, let's start with his basic leaps and his bite. Part of facing Kaneki is understanding that the bite attack is somewhat unavoidable. You can attempt to swerve and make him miss, but that falls onto both your ability to do that and Kaneki's inability to stabilize his aim on you. However, sometimes a little bit more consistent is positioning yourself behind objects that will make Kaneki bump into. When Kaneki connects to you but bumps into something, you'll still get the Kaukane mark countdown, but you will not lose any health states, and this will end his leap and put him on cooldown. You can also use the bite attack to make good distance, as you are given free movement while Kaneki is stuck in his animation and on cooldown. However, as I mentioned, the bite attack is pretty unavoidable, but he also can't use the bite attack to down you. If you run Sprint Burst, you're probably going to get more value if you wait until you get hit first before running, because you can stack your Sprint Burst speed with your injury speed boost to more greatly punish Kaneki for biting you. After Kaneki has bitten you, he works essentially as an M1 killer with mobility. This means he needs to use his basic attack to down you, but has a power that gives him the speed to try and catch you off guard. While looping Kaneki, try not to immediately drop pallets or camp pallets unless you know for a fact he's on cooldown. Dropping pallets in his face is giving him the prime opportunity to vault after you and down you. You should be dropping pallets only in the following scenarios. If you have enough distance to not get vaulted after and have safe distance between you and the dropped pallet, if you know he's on cooldown, whether that is because he's just finished leaping, vaulting, or broke another pallet, or if you can secure a stun. You should also be mindful of which tiles you're playing at. Longer tiles are actually better for Kanekis who go for cutoffs, but can also give Kanekis that go for vaults more pressure as well, whereas shorter tiles can be used to pressure him more into playing M1 only. More cluttered tiles are also worse for Kaneki because of how often he can bump into different objects that can throw off his leaps. However, the biggest counter to Kaneki in a tile is standing still. Okay, I know that sounds kind of stupid, but listen. When Kaneki's leaping, he can't perform a basic attack until he cancels. If you find a window or pallet that you can just stand in the middle of and you don't press any buttons until you hear him cancel, then you can just drop that pallet or vault the window immediately and he can't do anything to go past it or catch up because he'll be put on cooldown. Dropping a strong, safe pallet on a Kaneki on cooldown forces him into the situation of breaking it. Pairing that with his cooldown makes it so that you can safely reach another filler or gym before he gets his power back. You want to play around his cooldown knowing what causes it, and making sure you're aware of what he's doing. Keeping an eye out for his reticle to know where he will head. If you can't make it to a pallet while he's going for a cutoff but you can see where he's going, you can always turn around and move away from his leap destination. Just make sure you don't run into his line of trajectory. You can end up bumping into him and that can let him end his leap on top of you instead of at his leap destination. The standing still situation can also apply if you reach a pallet before he can leap past you. While he's still in his leaping mode, you can just stand still and wait for him to cancel or run out of time before dropping the pallet. All in all, if you manage to avoid letting Kaneki get cutoffs and vaults, you can very easily delay him getting a down. It doesn't matter if you're injured or not. Now with this information, you just have to pray your teammates are doing gens. As for vaults, his vault is more useless the better you are at mind gaming and loops, winning 50-50s and chaining to other tiles. However, there are two methods you can use to completely negate Kaneki's vault. One is more risky, but the other is almost uncounterable on Kaneki's end once you get the hang of it. The riskier one is vaulting back through the pallet when Kaneki pulls up his power. If he decides to vault into you, it will make him bump into the occupied pallet and force him into a Cognate swipe instead of a vault, forcing him on cooldown. This is a high risk, medium reward option. But the best counter to his vaulting currently is a small trick called revaulting. So in case you're unaware, with the 9.5.0 update, that was all kill comeback, Kaneki can no longer automatically injure or down survivors who are too close to him while vaulting. This also allows survivors to run directly through him, and if timed right, give them the prompt to phase through and vault through Kaneki. This forces Kaneki to now be on the opposite side of the pallet from you while being on a full 8-second cooldown. This gives you more than enough time and enough of a chance to make solid distance and reach another set of tiles before Kaneki can even catch up to you. Now that I've given you general ideas of what you can do against his basic power, I'm going to run down some more advanced mechanics that Kaneki is capable of and what you can do to avoid them as well. Velocity slides. Velocity slides are when the Kaneki player uses their momentum while sliding and uses their second leap to go through a door or window that they're passing by. This effectively causes a drifting-like effect that lets Kaneki do a sharp turn and usually slide along a wall that he would otherwise bump off of. Typically, if he's moving so tightly against the wall, you can take the tile more wide or double back past him. Taking the tile more wide will make him slide past you, which will give you more leeway in doubling back and making solid distance away from him. You can also use the standing still technique from before if you can make it to a window or pallet before he can complete his leaping plan. Prompt steals. Prompt stealing is when Kaneki uses his Cognate swipe to block your prompt to drop a pallet or vault either a window or pallet. This is more effective if you're actively moving into a pallet or window because your movement shifts you from side to side while he can push you away further by leaping into you. But if you just stay dead center of the object you want to interact with when he does this, you can avoid this happening a lot of the time. If Kaneki gets a prompt steal on you while you are mid-run to the vault, try to react as fast as possible and turn around immediately. Do not keep trying to run into him to try and get the prompt back. It will not work 9 times out of 10. Just turn around. The general advice for facing Kaneki from me is just pay more attention to him and have some common sense when it comes to what you're doing versus his ability set. You shouldn't be dropping pallets in the face of a killer who can vault pallets if you don't know if he's on cooldown or not. It's important to be aware of your surroundings against him, but to keep trying if you fail. You can't grow immunity if you don't expose yourself to it. If you're a player who finds yourself disconnecting at the first sight of Kaneki, or if you get down first, stop doing that. I get he's pretty overplayed right now, but keep in mind, it's not entirely because he's strong, but because he's one of the most fun kits in the game currently, and Tokyo Ghoul is a very beloved series in both Western and Eastern audiences. Kaneki is a highly iconic character, so it doesn't surprise me much at all that he's played it, as he is still. Sure, it could be mostly part of his strength, but it isn't always that. People are just trying to have fun, just like you. It's not their job to make your game fun by playing someone else, just like how it's not your job to make their game fun by playing the perks you like. So just keep trying and you'll get the hang of it eventually. And lastly for this video, I want to talk about some misconceptions people have about Kaneki, as well as what I'd change. Kaneki has gotten nerfed in a plethora of ways since his release and has received one buff, and that buff was just to one of his previous nerfs. Kaneki doesn't have an instant recovery and cannot hit during his leaps. Don't waste your dead hard while he's just leaped at you. Kaneki is not autopilot and has to actually aim to each location he wants. His auto aim for survivors has been lowered so much it's almost nothing now. And lastly, for Misconceptions, pre-dropping pallets constantly is not good counterplay to Kaneki. As for what I change, I think Kaneki's vault is fundamentally a flawed part of his kit, and should be removed as it hinders skillful play and funnels people into relying on it too much, and makes it really boring and unfun for unexperienced survivors, but really frustrating for the Kaneki player against good survivors who know how to deal with vaults, which isn't a hard thing to do anymore. Vault currently has no practical use in most levels of play outside of just being a crutch against new players, and that's it. If not that, then either make vaults only on the second leap onward, or make it a prompt while removing the increased speed, something that allows cutoff playstyles to be more useful and reliable. After that, revert the nerfs to Kaneki's maximum leap range and decrease Kaneki's minimum leap distance. As it serves right now, Kaneki has a total distance where his power actually is usable of 9 meters. 5 of the 14 meter maximum range is blocked by minimum leap distance, and his maximum leap distance being nerfed served no real purpose, as it seemingly was done to decrease his map pressure, but that's not really what happened. All it did was make Kaneki a lot more clunky feeling to play while not really toning down his strengths at all. I would personally set his maximum leap back to 16 meters as it was on launch and decrease his minimum leap distance down to 3 meters. This would make scenarios for Kaneki where he should be able to leap, but due to ping, sliding logic, and other variances of quality issues, makes it so his leap fizzles out and fails. Lastly, for changes to Kaneki, I would make Satchel base kit, Coffee maybe base kit, or just kept as is, and then rework every single other add-on. Most of his add-ons are either perks that activate only in Enraged, or are useless. Having more add-on variety that is centered around leaps instead of Enrage mode would be a lot more fun and interesting for Kaneki's kit. The reason I would prefer Satchel to be base kit over Kaneki is something I actually made a video about previously, so check out that video after this one. For my ending notes, I just want to add that, as a community, we could all be doing better in trying to advocate for better changes and more thoughtful design discussion over complaining and saying this killer needs to be removed just because you struggle against them. There's a lot of things in Kaneki's kit that are, while strong, not really that much of an issue if you just know what you're doing. This goes for not just survivors, but killer players too. There's a lot of gatekeeping counterplay and generally bad faith ways of talking to survivors who were looking to get more info on the killer and how to perform better against them, earlier on in Kaneki's release period. I think that's really what hurt a lot of players' views on not just the killer, but the people who play him as well. So next time you see someone struggling with a killer that you know about, tell them what they can do. Tell them what they're doing wrong. Don't belittle them or tell them to get good. As for survivors, try to listen to your fellow community members when they give advice. Practice and apply. You're never going to get it down in one go, and everything takes time, just trust the process. And with that, I'm done here. I hope you enjoyed it, and again, as always, you can come to my Twitch or my Discord if you have any other questions. All I ask is that you be civil. Until next Ghoul topic video, I'm Psychosu, and goodbye, Kosu.
Because they watched the Hens video against Chess Merchant, and they're like, well, that has to be unfair because Hens couldn't beat them. Whoa! What